Okay, do I remember how to do it? Is it happening again? Yes, it's happening again. It's happening. Hello there, my name is Jonathan and this is Jonathan's Days. If you're new, this is a channel where I talk mostly about knitting and all the things that I'm making. And if you're returning, welcome back. Welcome back to you. Welcome back to me. It's been quite a while since I've posted and I will explain why later on in the video. Let's worry about that later on. But right now I'm back to talk about what I've been knitting, and since it's been so long, there's quite a few things to catch you up on. I've got 4 garments and 3 accessories to share with you that I've worked on since the beginning of the year, and that's what I'm going to talk about today. So if you want to hear about all of that, stay tuned. Let's grab some water, have a little sip. Make sure we're hydrated, grab your knitting, get settled. I'm gonna go through everything at a pretty quick clip just because there's quite a lot to get through and I don't want this to be too long. I want us to get back into it and back into the swing of things in a good way. So let's start off with the garments that I made since the beginning of the year. And we'll start with the first thing I made, which is big, spoilers. Oh my God, spoilers in the background, spoilers. Oh gosh. I mean, you could just skip ahead in the video, that works as a spoiler. So, first thing that I finished in, what year are we, 2025, was this. This is my Trinigan by Andrea Mowry. I cast this on in November-ish last year. Maybe I spoke about it in the previous episode, not too sure. But I cast this on I remember I cast it on at the end of November just because it was right before the retreat, which I'll talk about later on in the video. But I was working on this for quite a while and then I put it down simply because I had a lot of Christmas gifts to knit up. I made my partner a sweater and his niece a sweater. So I was working on those, so this kind of took a break. So it didn't get finished till about mid-January. First of all, I'm gonna turn it around so you can see the stitch pattern. And I'm going to hold it up so you can see it too. So this is knit out of Spincycle Dream State, which is kind of the worsted weight of the Spincycle yarns. This is the color changing yarn. And then the main is Knitting for Olive Heavy Merino in the color. I think the color is Petroleum Blue, but it will be on the screen if I'm wrong. But you can see loads of color change happening in this. The colorway is for the Spincycle is, oh God, I looked up every other color except this one before I started because I wanted things to be flowing. Cut this part, Jonathan, so I can look it up. I'm back. So it is Sunset Strip is this colorway. Now these skeins that I have for this were from their it was like seconds. So Spincycle doesn't really go on sale very often, but when it does, sometimes what they put up for sale on their website is what they call seconds, which are basically skeins which aren't exactly perfect. So either the color didn't work right or it wasn't, basically it didn't pass their quality assurance checks, I suppose, but they're still pretty good. So that's what I got. So if you look here on the back panel, it's probably the best. This is such a strange way to show it. Here in the back panel, you can see like there is a lot of, I guess, white in the skeins I had, less orange and less colors. So that meant that that's why I think they were made seconds, but I still think they're beautiful. This cardigan is knit from the bottom up. So you knit from the bottom up, start at the bottom with the ribbing, work your way up. Then you do the fronts, the backs, 3 needle bind off at the shoulders, and then pick up the sleeves and knit them down. I'm actually going to put it on because I feel like I've held it up enough that you can see. Now, so I bought this yarn in the second sale, and the second sale, it was like a mystery bag. So when I got this colorway, it very much was not my style of colorway, and I found it very difficult to actually pick a color to pair with the Spincycle. So I use that feature on Ravelry where you can look up the colorways of yarn, and that way I could look up projects, people who'd use this colorway in other projects and see what colors they paired it with and then decide what I liked. And what I did like is when people used quite a dark navy or blue colorway, and so that's what I went with. And I love blues and greens and teals and navies and things like that, so that's what I went with. So I was super happy with it. This is, God, what size did I make? I think it's a bit of second now. I think it's a size 3 or 4. I knit a size that would use as much of the yarn as possible because I have 5 skeins of this yarn and I still didn't use it all. I think I have almost a full skein left, so I probably only used 4 skeins and a bit of the Spincycle. And then it was 10 skeins, if I'm correct, of the Knitting for Olive Heavy Merino. And it is a like short-sleeved kind of open cardigan. It gives it's like a very kind of Japanese style, I would say, cardigan. And I love this piece so much. The pattern is quite simple and it's just a slip stitch color work, so it's mosaic knitting. I would say it knits up quickly because it's like pretty big needles. I think it's 4.5, 5 millimeter needles, and it's like worsted weight yarn. Heavy Merino is worsted weight as well. So I would say it knits up pretty quick, but it's pretty big. If I stand up, like it's long, it goes like it covers the top of my bum and is quite big on me. And that is exactly what I wanted. This has become my home uniform. So when I come home from work or whatever and come in the door, this is what I put on over kind of what I've worn. It's kind of become my like house coat, I guess, you know, those like old smoking jackets people used to have. And I'm really happy with it. I really enjoyed knitting it. It took a minute to finish it. I felt like I was knitting it for a very long time, but I'm so happy with the result. I would recommend it if you have like a lot of nice worsted weight yarn that you want to use up. Making something like this that's just a really comfy, warm, cozy knit that you can throw on when you go home in winter. Like, what more do you want? And then even it would work as like a spring jacket if you want to wear it out as well. So yes, so happy with this one. This is the Trinigan by Andrea Mowry, and it is wonderful. I really recommend it. Super simple pattern, opened. Anything else I want to say about it? Yeah, I love the Knitting for Olive yarn as well. I've got more coming on the way. So yes, that was the first thing I finished in January, which is this lovely cardigan. I'm going to keep the cardigan train rolling. This one, ooh, sneaky peeky. It's interesting. I went from making a slip stitch cardigan mosaic knitting right into another slip stitch cardigan mosaic knitting. And this one I had a vision. You know, sometimes you have like a vision and you're like, this is what I want to make. And then you kind of nailed it. It's like, this is exactly what I wanted. So to make a long story long, I am a huge fan of the country singer Kacey Musgraves, and I went to see her concert end of last year, I want to say, which was for her album Deeper Well, which I really enjoyed. It was an amazing night, amazing performance, highly recommend. But one of her like symbols from that era of her album is kind of like the quilt block square symbol. And so I was really inspired by the colors that she used in this most recent album and that quilt block print that she used as an image. And I found a pattern that has this quilt block print, which is quite popular at the moment in general in the knitting world, and colors that also match that kind of aesthetic. And this is what I came up with. So I'm going to hold it up first for you. Again, holding up the back of it. So this is the Paulie cardigan by Amy Christoffers, aka Savory Knitting. You might know Amy because of the pressed flowers pattern, of which there are, you name it, there's a pattern or there's an item with the pressed flowers pattern on it. But this is another one of her patterns which uses the same technique. So it's also using the mosaic knitting with slip stitches in order to create the design. So if you can see here, this is the quilt block design pattern. It looks clearest here on the back, but on the front you can see it as well. There's two, and then they're actually on the sleeves as well. I can which you probably can't see as well on the sleeve, but I will hold it up to the camera so you can see. Yeah, in the back it's pretty similar. So I will pull it on, since I feel like is it weird to kind of pull a cardigan on like this? I don't know. So here it is. This was knit up in the Farmer's Daughter fibers in the Pishkin is the name of the yarn, and is in the colorway. He's got it saved on his phone. Celadon Kush is the colorway. So this is the main color. This is this light green, which was the perfect green. And as soon as I saw it, I was like, okay, that's exactly what I want. And then again, it is Spincycle Dream State in the colorway Miss Me, which is the kind of color work, essentially, the contrasting color. And it is a kind of a pinky green color shift is probably the best thing I would use to describe it. So there's all different color shifts within this of pinks and greens. Just want to show raglan detail there. This too is knit bottom up, but the difference is you do the sleeves bottom up as well from the previous cardigan. So you do the 2 sleeves bottom up, and then you start at the bottom here, work your way up, you join everything here, and then raglan decreases up. And then I think the button band, I think the pattern says you can do it like a double knit button band or pick up a knit, or maybe it tells you to, oh, it tells you to knit it long and attach it. Anyway, the like default way of doing the button band is different to how I do it, which is I picked up and I knit up and I added the buttonholes. So, but then in the actual pattern, I can't remember for the life of me what they do in the actual pattern. But one of the nice things about being a bit more experienced in cardigans now, I've definitely been in my cardigan era, that I know how to like do a button pick up for a button band, and I know how to do that pretty confidently, which is nice. And it's the fun thing about knitting is that once you learn these skills, you can apply them to different patterns. It's very, very handy. So yes, that's the construction. Again, it's pretty quick, I would say, overall, because of the like weight of the yarn. This is probably 4 or 5 millimeter needles as well, and it is lovely. I'm really happy with it. I got these buttons at Liberty here in London. They're like wooden buttons, and it was meant to be because I needed 6 of them, and there's only 6 left in the tube, including the one on the actual lid. I was like, can I have the one on the lid as well? And they're like, yeah, of course. So got these nice wooden buttons. I felt it kind of captured well the kind of Americana vibe I was going for, log cabin vibes. So I'm super, super happy with how this has turned out. Haven't worn it a ton. I feel like it's just been hard weather-wise in London, and like I cycle to work, so it's difficult to carry it in and stuff like that. So haven't fully gotten into the like styling aspect of it, but I am really, really happy with it. The one thing I will flag, so I knit the size 4 of this. Size 3, can't remember. It's been long, sorry team for not remembering, but I will say I had almost a full skein left of, I'm not lying, I did have a full skein left of the yarn. So I did size 3, and I bought 5 skeins of the yarn, and I had a full skein and a bit left over. So for me, it wasn't the full whack at all of yarn. So I had tons of yarn left over. I mean, buyer beware, do what you need to do, make sure you swatch so you know exactly how much you're getting, but I did have tons of Spincycle left over, which is frustrating when Spincycle is so expensive. I mean, I knit tons, I'm sure I'll use it, but also I know it's a real investment for people to buy this yarn because it's so expensive. So just to be aware of that, I definitely had way lots left over. But anyway, this, still happy with the overall finished product, proud of it, happy with its vibes. It's like a little, like it fits pretty, I wouldn't call it oversized, like it fits me pretty well. I did knit this to wear for the Unravel Festival in February, which was fantastic. And I bought a load of yarn at that and I have tons of plans. I literally have 10 sweaters, garments that I want to knit this year. And that will be the next video I want to make, is just telling you what I've planned for all my garment knits for the year. But I knit this up so that it will be ready for that. And I'm really, really happy with it. And one thing that's weird that I will mention is on the sleeves. So the sleeves start with the color work and then you increase. Maybe I read the pattern instructions, but I don't know if you can see. There is I mean, I have skinny arms, so whatever, but look at how much fabric there is here compared to my actual arms. So you do the kind of color work and then you start increasing rather rapidly. And I don't know, is that because you needed the designer needed enough to make the raglan work, but it just feels like a lot of fabric here. So just as a flag, maybe I read the instructions wrong. Don't think I did, but just as a flag, I did feel like there was a lot of fabric here. Maybe that will be fine for you, but it was a bit strange for me to have so much fabric there. I don't know what else I would have done. Maybe I would have increased more gradually, would have been what I would have done, but who knows. But other than that, really, really happy with it. Happy with how it blocked out. Happy with how it looks. Love the color work. I love bottom up for sleeves because it means you can take the sleeve as like your portable project around and then have the body as like what you do at home because it's so big. So that way I can like have double productivity for the piece, which is quite fun. So I would recommend it in that point of view. So yeah, nice pattern. What I will say is I don't know. I felt the pattern isn't one of those, like, I think you need to be experienced to do this pattern. It shouldn't be your first anything. It shouldn't be your first cardigan. It shouldn't be your first mosaic knitting. It shouldn't be your first bottom up. Don't make it your first anything. Do this when you have experience in cardigans, experience in knitting bottom up, experience in mosaic knitting. Yeah, just because I felt the pattern is pretty bare bones. I mean, a pattern is pattern. It doesn't need to be anything. There's no law or rule, but I'm just saying that it doesn't hold your hand with techniques and it just tells you what to do and you need to know how to do it. So I would recommend taking a look at the techniques if you are planning on doing this for the first time in one of those categories, if that makes sense. But again, happy with the final result. I think I'm an experienced enough knitter now that most patterns don't shake me or, don't confuse me. I can figure it out just because I've done so many different kinds of construction. But yeah, just to be aware of that with this. And yeah, so that is the Paulie cardigan by Amy Christoffers, aka Savory Knitting, in Spincycle Dream State and Farmer's Daughters Fibers Pishkin. Yes, that's it. Cool. On to the next one. So I in my cardigan era. Oh my god, he loves cardigans. Taylor Swift, blah blah blah. Blah. But he was all of a sudden just sick of it. Sick of cardigans, sick of bottom up, sick of mosaic, sick of all those kind of techniques and things like that. I haven't missed a day of knitting since I've been away, but I definitely always need to kind of like do different kinds of projects to keep myself entertained, to keep myself interested. I don't like doing the same kinds of knits back to back to back. I do like to vary it up a bit. Keeps it interesting. Good for your hands as well. Do some color work, do some stockinette kind of stuff just to vary it up. And I was really, really feeling that way when I finished those two cardigans, because then not long before that, I had done another cardigan, which is also slip stitch. So it just felt like a lot of cardigans and a lot of mosaic, and I wanted something simple, clean, and also I really wanted a wardrobe staple, and that's what this is. So this is the Melange Sewater Man by PetiteKnit. Is this the light one? Does she have a light and a regular? Might be the light one. I always do the lighter versions if they are, but either way, this is knit up in Knitting for Olive Merino in the colors Cloud and Thundercloud. So that is a fingering weight yarn, and you hold it double for this pattern. And this pattern I love. It is top down, it is simple, clean, basic. I will absolutely be using it again when I'm knitting, just want like a nice basic sweater, even if you, so the draw of this obviously is the marled look, that you marl two colors together to get this like marled look. So that's why I chose like essentially a white and a dark gray to create this kind of overall gray marl effect. I feel like I'm fading into the background here, but you could do it with like two of the same color or like a DK weight if you just wanted a really simple basic sweater. So if you know, I always talk about, as a man who knits, I talk to the, you know, people who knit for their husbands and boyfriends a lot. And one thing I always say is like, don't make something crazy, like keep it simple, look at their closet, find something that they like already like, and you can make something similar to that in a color they like. And this would be such a great pattern for that because it's really simple, it's really easy. So you could say, hey, I'm gonna make you this. It's really simple, no crazy pink and green mosaic color work cardigan with giant wooden buttons. Instead, it's something really simple and plain. That's what I wanted as well. So I definitely would recommend it for that. Top down, it is, how do they do it again? I think it starts with the back. It starts with the back and then short rows, shoulders down, short rows on the shoulders. So like this is all very seamless and nice. You wouldn't be able to see the detail in kind of the marl, but if you got up close, you would see that it's pretty seamless from here. So that's where your kind of seam is, where you pick up. So it's short rows at the back, pick up here, do the two parts here and the back, and then join here, knit down, pick up here, knit down. And then you pick up the collar as well, and you fold that over and knit that. So if I ever did it again, maybe I'd do it a little bit bigger, but I'm not mad at that. I also probably would do the sleeves a tiny bit longer, but I'm always pushing up my sleeves. So even if I make them the correct length for my, like when it's blocked, when it's finished, because I'm constantly doing this, it ends up kind of shortening the sleeves a lot, which is neither here nor there. It is what it is. But yeah, it is a PetiteKnit pattern. I've knit tons of PetiteKnit pattern. I'm currently knitting a PetiteKnit pattern, which I'll talk about in a second. They are fantastic for basic, well-designed, no-nonsense construction knitted garments. Yeah, the size range in whatever could be whatever, but if you want a really reliable, well thought out, designed, and basic is the wrong word, but it is kind of like a utility basic pattern. I always go back to PetiteKnit because I know the techniques used and the way that they think about construction and fit are always fantastic. So for me, happy with the PetiteKnit men's patterns, because I think I've only ever done, apart from a couple of slipovers, I've only ever done the like men's patterns for PetiteKnit. What I will say about the men's patterns for PetiteKnit is that this is the extra small, and the whip that I'm working on, which I'll show you in a second, is also an extra small. And when I made the whip I'm talking about in a second, for my partner, I did the extra small. I always do the extra small size. This is the extra small size on me. So I find that the men's patterns, and I've done that for every PetiteKnit men's pattern that I've ever done. So if it's whatever man is what she calls, or my boyfriend's size, or my husband's size, however she calls them, the amount of positive ease that's put into those garments is insane. It's like, I feel like it's like 20, or she's just used to knitting for Nordic men who are extremely tall and broad. Potentially, I don't know. But I have, what do I have? It's like 100 centimeters chest measurement, which is, oh, my battery's about to die. Okay, battery replaced. So my chest measurement is 100 centimeters, which is about in the 38-40 inch range. And I always end up doing the extra small size for PetiteKnit patterns that are designed for men, just to make you aware of that. And so I am like, in general in menswear, I am a small or a medium Small if I want it more tight fitted, or medium if I want it a little bit larger. But all that being said, that's just kind of a bit of advice, probably for the men out there that watch. If you are knitting for a man in your life, ask them what size they want, measure them yourself, measure their favorite sweater. Don't just guess when it comes to sizes, when it comes to patterns, is my advice. But go crazy. You do you. But that is my advice if you are knitting for your partner. What else do I want to say about it? Knitting for Olive Merino. Knitting for Olive probably is my desert island yarn. Like if I was put on a desert island and I could only bring one yarn, it's probably Knitting for Olive. I love it. I adore it. I make it all the time. This is clearly Spincycle and Knitting for Olive are two of my favorite brands because they're used in most of these garments that I've made. But yes, really, really love this one. So happy with this basic. I think I'm going to make it over and over again, to be honest with you. I might taper the sleeves a bit more. Again, there's a little bit of fabric here, which I don't like. But again, like I was talking about earlier, the more experienced you become in knitting, the more techniques you learn, the more you can customize your clothing. And that's like a superpower, and I absolutely love that. So yes, this is the Melange Sewater Man by PetiteKnit, knit up in Knitting for Olive. Gorgeous marled, basic, easy to throw on. So happy to have this in my wardrobe because as much as I love the fantastic color changing, color work amazingness of the Spincycle yarn, most days I want to grab just a basic. So having both options has been fun for me for my knitted wardrobe as of late. So yes, that's this one. Really recommend it. We'll be making it again. And finally, we're back to Andrea Mowry. This is my second Andrea Mowry pattern of the year. And this is like pretty fresh off my needles, maybe end of last week. This was finished up. And this one was super fun to knit. This is the Traveler. So this is the Traveler crew neck version. There's also the hoodie version. And this was the first pattern that she released in her Traveler series. I knit the Cowl and I wasn't like before, like when it first released, I was like, oh, whatever, like it's nice. Then I knit the Cowl. I was like, ooh, I get why she and so many people really enjoy this stitch pattern. It is really, really lovely. And I am actually going to be traveling a little bit soon. I mean, I'm traveling a fair bit this year. So I did really want it for its kind of intended use, which is having just a nice, warm, cozy layer to travel with. So like when you're on the airplane and having a nice knit that's like not bulky, but is still warm and cozy is really, really nice. And the texture of this stitch pattern is really fantastic. So let me just pop up and I can hopefully show you. I've got a pretty dark yarn, so hopefully it shows up. Yeah, it's gonna blow out a bit, but you will. Okay, it's blowing out tons, but yeah, you can see it a bit better there. So the yarn is by John Arbon. I picked this up in At Unravel, and it is Yarnadelic is the name of the yarn. And the colorway is Indigo Dreams or Indigo Dream, I'm not too sure. And this is knit from the top. No, I'm lying. It's knit from the bottom up, seamed with a 3 needle bind off here at the shoulder, so similar to the Trinigan. And then the sleeves are picked up and knit down. Collar is also picked up and knit up as well. The thing about this stitch pattern is that it grows like crazy. So it doesn't grow like crazy. It grows by a percentage. So when you're making it, you need to take that into account with your knitting. Now, she does have the calculation in the pattern. So you will need kind of like to have a mathematical mind a little bit when you do this, if you want to make any adjustments to the fit, which I do because I'm a man and I love a crop, but not for this. So the original pattern is designed to be slightly cropped. I think that's what Andrea Mowry likes in general. So I wanted to lengthen it. So I had to kind of do that maths to figure out how much I could lengthen it, plus like the amount that it would grow from blocking for both the body and the sleeves. Now the sleeves do feel a bit short, but they're actually fine. Again, it's the same thing where I push up my sleeves a lot, and then when I pull them down, they kind of have shortened a bit. And this stitch pattern is almost like ribbing. So it is prone to that kind of accordion squeeze that, you know, is there. It's also a drop shoulder, so the actual body still goes on for a little bit, and it's a bit of a drop shoulder. So I find if I pull it right into my pit, it will shorten the sleeve, but when it's actually where it's meant to be, it's fine. It's probably like a bracelet length, I would say, but it's not enough that it's bothering me. And again, if this is something that's designed for travel, I kind of want to be a little bit mobile, have access to my hands and that. And then on the body, it is, let me pull my t-shirt down. It is pretty perfect on the body, and I do think with wear and weight, it will, if it's going to do anything, it's going to grow a little bit more, so that's fine for me. It's knit up in sport weight yarns, so this Yarnadelic is a sport weight from John Arbon. This is the second time I've used it in a garment for Andrea Mowry pattern, and I absolutely love it. I think it's probably one of my favorite sport weight yarns. Anything else I want to say about it? No, that's probably it. It's pretty great. Any other hot tips? I think if you want to make adjustments, yeah, beware of that when doing this pattern. I might try making the hoodie version in the future, but we'll see. It took me a decent amount of time because it's sport weight, and I think it's 3.75 millimeter needles. So yeah, but no other kind of flags on it. Maybe the only other flag I would say is maybe swatch in the round and swatch flat, because you're working both in the round and flat. So if you do have a big difference between your knits and purls, then that's something you should be aware of. So if you have quite a bit of rowing out, be aware of that, because then your gauge will vary from here on the chest and the back where you're knitting flat versus the body and the sleeves where you're working in the round. So just to be aware of that. But again, I'm of the opinion that we should all make friends with purls. I really made a choice probably about a year ago to do a lot more purling, do a lot more projects that were knit more or less flat, because I wanted to first of all become quicker at purling, and I wanted to become more comfortable with it rather than avoiding it, because I feel like if you avoid purling, then your gauge is always going to be off between the two stitches, and you want your gauge to be as close as possible between a purl and a knit so that you avoid rowing out and changes in your gauge, is what I think. But you do you. It's whatever makes you happy. It's your craft. But I really wanted to, you know, get quicker at it. So that's what I've done. And yes, I love this. I really recommend it. I recommend the series now that I've knit 2 things from the series. I'm sure the shawl is fantastic as well. And yeah, I might do the hoodie. Actually, the first pattern I bought was the shell, which is like an open cardigan. But if I was to make anything else from the series, it probably would be this again, but with the hoodie. So yeah, this is the Traveler crew neck version. If you're on the fence, go for it. It's fantastic, and I'm really happy with the finished garment. It's such a nice weight, comfortable to wear. Really enjoyed it. So yes, that's the Traveler. And yes, that is all of the finished objects that I've done since January when it comes to garments. Let's talk about accessories super quick. So first is a sock. This is again an Andrea Mowry pattern. This is the let me flip it this way, it's a bit nicer. This is the DRK Everyday Sock. I've knit this tons of times now. This is probably my 4th, maybe 5th pair of this, and I have another one that is a current whip, so that I'll show you in a second. But yes, I knit up a pair of these. This is knit up in Big Little Yarn Co. This is the sock set from last year, and I screenshotted it so I can share it with you. So the colorways are Spring Rain, which is the main colorway, and then the contrast, there you go, contrast for the heel, toe, and then I also did these stripes, which I love the stripes. That is the color Haru. So Spring Rain and Haru, this is a sock set that Big Little Yarn Co. did, and this was from last year, and I absolutely loved it. And I've been wearing these socks a ton. You can see I've already got some fluffing, and felting going on, but yeah, they're really, really great socks. I'm going to take it off this now because I don't want the ribbing to stretch out. But yes, that is my first pair of socks that I finished this year. Then as also after all of that cardigan, and I wanted, after all of those cardigans and very complicated knits, I just wanted to cast on something that was really simple and plain. So I cast on another Musselburgh hat. I've knit a bunch of these now, and this is knit up of Le Garcon. It's the 4-ply non-superwash. I'm not sure if they do this base anymore because I bought this yarn years ago. The colorways, it's a marl, so I held 2 colors together. So it is Max's Khaki and Meredith's Grey held together. It's the Musselburgh, so it's like this, and you put it inside itself and then turn it up and you've got your hat. And this one, I knit it for myself, but to be honest, as someone who has a hat pattern I don't think hats suit me very well. I don't know. I don't love how I look in hats. So this immediately went to my partner, really, because he wears hats all the time. He's always cold and has cold ears. So this went straight to him. It's very his vibe. He likes all dark grays and greens, blues, those kinds of things. So it went straight to him. And I just wanted to use up a ton of yarn. So that's how that worked. And it was really enjoyable knit. I love the Musselburgh pattern, highly recommend. I think if I was to do one for me, I would want an even thinner yarn. Like this is obviously 2 4-ply sets, so it's kind of like a DK weight gauge. The Musselburgh is kind of a gaugeless pattern. But if I was to do this again, for myself, I would probably just use a sport weight and an even smaller needle, maybe a 3.25 millimeter needle for like a really kind of warm but thin Musselburgh hat, if that makes sense. Because I just feel like it's a bit too chunky. I don't know. Am I crazy? I always put it at the back of my head. Maybe I need to come down a bit more like this. No, I don't know. Tell me I'm crazy, but I don't know. I think I just don't like hats that much. Anyway, but I do love this hat and I do love the pattern, and it's so nice to make a Musselburgh. It's a really lovely, nothing but stockinette pattern, all knit. Speaking of making friends with pearls, if you're like, screw that, Jonathan, I love knitting and only knitting, this is for you because you don't have to purl. So yeah, knit up another Musselburgh hat. I've talked about it tons. You should make one if you haven't already. And then finally, the other kind of smaller accessory pattern, is a no pattern. So I also had, so the same time I bought this yarn, I also bought a skein of British wool alpaca fingering and Suri silk lace from Biggle Yarn Co. And this was bought during last year's would have been like March time, and it was like the cherry blossom flower festival collection. I don't know if that's what she called it. Anyway, either way, it was a stunning collection, and I bought a couple of bits, that sock set, and then I bought some fingering weight yarn and some Suri silk lace, and I just wanted to make something that let the colors shine. So the main fingering yarn was in the Sakura colorway, and then the Suri silk lace was in the Hanami colorway. So Hanami is the flower watching festival time in Japan when everyone just goes and like has a picnic under the cherry blossom trees, which sounds amazing and romantic and fun. But so the Sakura colorway is a tonal, so it was like a beautiful peach pink, stunning. And then the Hanami colorway was a variegated colorway, so I got that in the Suri silk lace, and I held them both together. And I wasn't really sure what pattern to use, but eventually I was like, let me just cast on a bunch of stitches and pick a stitch pattern and then knit in the round, and then what's the word? Kitchener? But what's the other word for graft the two ends together, so it's kind of like a constant loop. And it makes a cowl like this. So this is it. I'm going to hold it right up so you can see the colorway. So yeah, this is the cowl I made. It's literally just anyone can do it. The stitch pattern is like a broken moss stitch pattern. So knit one, purl one round, knit the next round, then purl one, knit one, knit the next round. Simple. So it's a really, really common stitch pattern, and I just did that until I literally almost ran out of yarn. Well, I did a, what you call it, provisional cast on, and I knit until I almost ran out of yarn, and then I just grafted the two ends together, and you just end up with this like nice simple colorway. I would just cast on 100, 120, 140, however many stitches you want, depending on how high. So if you want it to be quite high so that it comes up, cast on more stitches, and then just keep going till you run out of yarn. So there were both, I think the Suri silk base must have been about a 50-gram skein, and then the fingering was a 100-gram skein, and it was just a nice way to like, I really like patterns, even though this isn't a pattern, it's just like a recipe. I really like patterns that use up as much yarn as possible. You can tell earlier when I was talking about the cardigan how annoyed I was that I had a whole skein left over. So yeah, I like patterns that use up tons of yarn, which makes me think about that new book by Lina, which is about scrap yarn, which I thought was amazing. I think, you know, in sewing, there's so many zero waste patterns, and it would be nice as much as we could as knitters to do like zero waste patterns for wool as well, even though wool is a bit more reusable than fabric. Anyway, I digress. That's a whole other video. Could be a whole other book of patterns. If, you know, someone would be interested in me doing a book of use up all your yarn patterns. I don't know. Anyway, the Musselburgh is probably another one that could be done like that. Anyway, I digress. This cowl, big little yarn co, just a broken moss stitch, provisional cast on, knit till you run out, graft them together, done. Easy, super cozy and warm. I'm really, really happy with it. I haven't worn it a lot yet because I just finished it a little while ago, and we are heading into spring, summer here in the UK, which is great. However, I am going on a trip to Chile in May, which will be heading into their autumn, winter kind of time. So it means I get to wear all my knits, and we're going to Bolivia as well, and going up quite high altitude wise. So it's going to be cold. So I get to wear all my knits, including my traveler, which will be fun. But yeah, that's all the projects that I finished since January, and then I just have 2 works in progress to share with you, and then we're done, baby. Okay, so let's talk 2 last whips, and the first here is another DRK Everyday Socks, so I'm not going to talk about it for very, very long, but this is knit up in Rosa Pomar Mondim, which is one of my favorite sock yarns. I've done the toe, the foot, I have done the heel. Probably see the heel a lot better on this one. So yeah, you can see how similar they are. And yeah, I've just hit the leg. So I'm gonna, speaking of using up all the yarn, I split 100-gram skein of this Mondim in 2, and then I'm just gonna kind of knit until I finish this without it ending up being a like knee high. So yes, this is the yarn, looks like this. Put my face out. There you go. So it's a navy yarn with kind of white blips. So it creates these blips in the fabric, and then, but it's so interesting. It almost, I think I kind of like it. Instead of like pooling like you will get with a variegated yarn, it's kind of created this section here just where I was increasing for the heel, or for the gusset, I guess. It's just created this kind of swoop. So it almost looks like a logo, and then it goes back to the blips. So it's really interesting how it's pooled in that way. I think it'll end up looking quite cool when it's finished. So that's the first sock of that. You know me, I've always got a sock on the go. So yes, that's going. And then the other whip, which is the kind of other main whip I have, is the second time I'm knitting a PetiteKnit pattern on this episode. And the second time I'm making this pattern, which is a Zipper Sweater Man Light. You already know it's an extra small for this size, and this one is knit up in Peer Gynt in the Spicy Red colorway that's a yarn by Sandnes Garn. One of my favorite DK weight yarns, I would say, is Peer Gynt. I've used it a ton and I really, really like it. What do I love about this? I am making this because I want to, again, for the upcoming trip, is to have like nice, hard wearing, warm, good garments to wear. Like, I don't want to bring my all over color work sweater on a journey like the one we're going to go on, because there's going to be some hikes, adventures, things like that. I kind of want more like hard wearing knits. So that's why I cast this on. And a lot of what inspires my knitting is what adventures I'm going on, what am I doing, where am I going, like who do I want to be when I'm at this event, or I'm in this country, or I'm on this journey, like, and what's he wearing? He's going to be wearing another zipper sweater. So I've just split for the sleeves. It is top down. You start with the collar. So this collar is chunky. It's folded over. You can see here it's folded over. So you start here, knit over, fold it over, and knit together, do some short rows, and then you've got raglan increases, which hopefully you can see here. And then I'm just on the body. So then on the inside here, there's some stitches on hold, which I've just put on like a little marker. And then you'll kind of make a facing, which is you'll knit down, make a facing, sew that down, and then that becomes where your zip goes in. And there's tons of tutorials online how to sew in the zipper. I do find the ones that are on PetiteKnit's website quite good, except the person is, I'm assuming, speaking Danish, because that's where PetiteKnit is based. And there's subtitles in English, which is great, but also it's extremely difficult to read subtitles and watch someone demonstrate knitting at the same time. So I kind of have to watch them demonstrate and then go back and read the subtitles, or read the subtitles and then go back and watch them actually demonstrating. But I knit this pattern up for my partner. It was his Christmas gift from me. I always knit him something for Christmas, and the zipper sweater light was for him this year, and he absolutely loves it. He wears it all the time. When he wore it at home, his family couldn't believe that it was, you know, a hand knit garment, because it does have the zip in it, which makes it kind of feel more professional. And you can totally put the zip in. Once the facing is down, like, it's very, very easy to sew it down. Follow the videos and make sure that you have pins to pin it in the correct position. And sometimes it's good to like pin it twice. But again, look up the videos online. If you're thinking about making this and that's what's frightening you, don't be frightened by it. You can totally do it. And yeah, it's quite easy once you get to it. Just when I did my first one, I just like made it I had an evening at home alone, and I was like, tonight is the night. I'm going to sit down. I'm going to get that zip in. Yeah. Do your facings, sew down your facing, and then block it, and then wait until, and then once it's dry, we're going to put that zip in. Yeah. That's what I recommend. So yes, love this pattern. Again, if you want really good basics that fit really well written, PetiteKnit is the one, really, in my opinion. So yes, that is a Zipper Sweater Man Light that I'm working on, and I'm blazing through it. I've had some time off work, which is why I've had some nice time to film this. So it's been really, really fun working on that, having a nice, simple stockinette project after this, which was a sport weight project with a bit of a texture to it. It's nice just to have something that I can really like watch a movie, listen to an audiobook, and blaze through and just knit on. And plus this color is it's good, right? It's crazy but good. And I'm also, it's in my like hide and hammer bag, and I feel like this is such a vibe. Isn't that a vibe? Anyway, so that's it. That's what I've been knitting on. If you've made it this far, thank you. If you are a regular viewer and you're like, Jonathan, where have you been? I'm going to talk about that now. If you don't want to hear about that, then peace and I'll see you next time. But so basically, where have I been? Towards the end of 2024. 2024 was a crazy year, busy year. Lots happened for me from the point of view of this channel and my knitting life and my crafting life and making life. One of the big things was the retreat that I put on with Anton from Raw Wool Company. And that took up a lot of my time, a lot of my energy, a lot of my focus. And I guess, long story short, I'm pretty sure I just burnt out, and I the last thing I wanted to do, or the last thing I had energy for, was filming videos, unfortunately. And I was okay, but I really made the decision to not film because it felt more like like something I had to do rather than something I wanted to do. And I never want to be doing videos as a chore, because that will come across in the videos and I feel like it's not genuine, and I've always been real. So that was why I didn't. And I also kind of wanted to take a step back because I had been working so much on another project, the retreat, which was so amazing, enjoyable, huge success, and I was so happy with it. But all that energy went into that, and then having to make videos as well, which also takes a lot of energy and a lot of time, my own personal time, which, you know, I have a full-time job on top of it. So I chose to not do videos for a little while, just because I would rather spend my free time knitting and crafting and reading and watching movies, you know, doing all those things. Like, I really just needed to fill my cup up again with creativity and passion for knitting and crafting, which are the things I love. I did not go a day without knitting. So what I love, this craft, continued on. That never stopped. But it just meant that rather than spending an entire day filming and editing a video, doing all the titles, putting together the photos, posting it on Instagram, uploading it, adding the notes, like, there's so many things that go into making a video. It's not just me hitting record, even setting up the camera, setting up the microphone, setting up the tripod. It's so much. And so I said, rather than spending 3 or 4 or 5 hours of my day off making a video, I was going to spend that time knitting, making something that really, really made me happy, breaking out the yarn that was soft and delicious and colorful and bright, and just doing all of that first so that I could come back here in a few months and really be energized for you and be here for you, is what I needed. So I hope you would understand that. And I hope that I'm back again. I don't want to make any promises of regularity. I'm just going to try and post as much as I can when I have time. I might do another reading update because I know people liked the reading update. Maybe I want to share my plans for what I want to make. Maybe just some slightly different topics rather than just sitting down and doing regular knitting projects, so that it's more interesting for me, more fun for me, maybe easier to edit a little bit, because editing takes quite a long time, but also is fun for you to watch. And that way it won't lead to like similar burnout. Because as well, when you make a knitting podcast, you feel the pressure on your actual making, because you're like, well, I have to finish this so that I can show it finished for the episode. And I want to get away from that. And if that means less often and slightly different content, then that's what I'm going to do. But all that to say that the retreat was amazing. If you are ever considering going on a retreat, knitting retreat, I would absolutely do it. We had so much fun. It was a lot of hard work. I was really tired after both of them. We've had 2 now. We had one end of November and the other one was just a few weeks ago. It was absolutely fantastic. Me and Anton need to work on just doing a little reel, little short video on how that was. But yeah, it was really, really amazing. And it's just so, you know, the actual retreats made me really remember what I love about the knitting community. It's not just the craft itself, it's the community and it's the people, and it's the fact that, like, no matter where we come from, what our belief systems are, we can always chat about yarn and chat about projects and things like that. So it is really, really inspiring. And I, you know, took the time to focus on my crafting, meet the people who were coming on the retreats and give them a really, really great experience, I hope. And yeah, we're pretty much, we'll decide on dates if we are doing it again for the end of this year. Probably autumn, winter 2025 will be when the next one will come around. So stay tuned. I would definitely subscribe to the Raw Wool Company newsletter. It's probably the best place to hear about that. And yeah, that's it. Tell me what's going on with you. How have you been? What have you been knitting on? I want to know. put it down in the comments and we can have a chat down there as we always do. I am so excited about the projects I have lined up. My fingers are just itching to get going. Like my knitting mojo is like at 1,000,000%. It's not even funny. But also my sewing mojo, like I'm gonna, you know, right as soon as I get this done, I'm gonna go for a run, and then I am pulling out the table, putting out the sewing machine, and we're getting to sewing. I'm so excited to make things for 2025. That is what I'm really excited to do, is to make new things for 2025 and share them with you. I would hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, and there's also the bell, the notification bell, just because who knows when he's going to dip out and dip back in, so make sure you have the bell hit so that you get notified. And the like button would be really, really nice, because I haven't been here in a minute, so it'd be nice if you like it. That means it'll get pushed up and people will see that I'm back, baby. Knit front to back, which will be the title of this episode. I knit myself front to back around to you, and I'm going to post more on Instagram. So if you're on Instagram, do follow me on there, making little short reels, Whip Wednesdays, things like that. So yeah, the energy is back. I'm excited to share more crafting stuff. So do please share what's been going on with you in your crafting world down in the comments. And I'll see you very, very, very soon. Much love. Bye.